Okay, hello people. In this tutorial, I'm going to take you through the process of using morph targets in order to do facial animation. Morph targets can be used for many different ways of animating, but they're used quite often for facial animation. Some of the newer ways of doing it that you'll see on the next-gen games are using bone systems within the characters, but essentially all of them are still baking animation onto the characters, and then having those animations play at a certain time on a certain key press or whatever. So I'm going to share my screen with you now, and we're going to jump straight into 3D Studio Max. So here we go. Okay, hopefully you can see that my screen's looking a little dodgy. Let's just see. Lost some of my icons for some reason. So in here I've got a couple of characters, and this isn't going to work until I can get this working. Hold on. Let's just see why it's pulling it so badly. Let me come out of sharing just one screen and I'll share my entire desktop. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Okay, yeah, right, we're there. All right, so what we've got on screen here, I've got a couple of little characters, well, one character, sorry. This is the original, so the original 3D model for this chap is here. This is actually available. It's one of the Autodesk sort of test pieces. If you search for this on your computer, when you've installed 3D Studio Max, you probably should find this guy. I'm using Max version 2015, by the way, but what I'm about to show you, morph target wise, won't make a difference. Morph targets have been around for quite a long time. So what I have here, this is the original character, and then all I did was I made a copy of that guy. So I just held down Shift and dragged him over to make a copy. When I did that, I made sure that I renamed the file, or the mesh, sorry. So this one, for example, we're going to do, let's do a blink, right? So I'm going to call this one blink. This guy here is called open mouth, and you can see all I've done is I've made a copy of him and then I've opened up the mouth. So I've gone in there and moved the polygons or vertices individually to create that open mouth. One thing that I will say, the design of your character is so important at this stage. So the reasons why you have nice loops running around the mouth and loops running around the eyes is so that they can be animated separately to other parts of the face. So you haven't got these straight edges running all the way down the face, which are very difficult to animate and cause kind of points. The loops that you've got running around basically form the same shapes as the underlying muscles under the human skin. And that's what's key when you're animating, when you're 3D modeling characters. You want to try and get their edge loops to be anatomically correct. So this guy's got we've gone in there and we've changed this one a little bit. I'll just go in and do a few more finishing touches. Now, what I was using when I was moving this guy's mouth around to try and make it into this open shape was soft selection here. So with soft selection turned on, when you first turn it on, edge distance is usually turned off. And what that means is, if I go in and I choose, let's say for example, this just underlying section of his eye there, you can see what soft selection does is the red marker means that that's the piece, that's the vert that's going to be has the most effect when I move it around. The rest of the verts around it, you can see they're shaded in different colors. Fall off here on the right hand side, if we up that, then you can see that we start controlling more or less of the mesh based on the vert that we have selected. Now the edge distance, if we turn that on, the edge distance now is, it knows that there's an edge there because of the eye and there's no polygon behind it. So when I'm upping the amount that we want to control now, you'll see that it's only controlling the bottom half, so it's only controlling the bits this side of the edge. So make sure that you've got edge distance turned on. You can push it up as well, so that we're controlling more or less based on the vert that we've got selected. If it's turned off, then you end up selecting a whole area of the face. So for the mouth, I selected a couple of verts, so around here and here, like that. and then I made sure that I had edge distance turned on, and then I can push that up a little bit so that I can control more of the mouth in one go. And then the fall off as well needs to be up a little bit so that you're controlling other bits of the face as well. So that's how I moved the mouth. I also did, I think I zoomed in a little bit more and I did this. I sort of grabbed an entire area like that. Again, making sure that I had soft selection turned on but kind of reduced down, so it was only selecting a certain amount of the face, like that. And then your edge select as well, just to make sure you're only selecting the bottom half. So I moved his mouth down. Okay, so that was that. I'll quickly just run over and work on this chap over here and just give him, I'll drop his eyes down so that he can blink. And then I'll show you the kind of timing that you want for your blinks within your animation. So before I just jump in and do that, the one thing that you need to be aware of is that you need to know what it is your characters are saying. It's wrong of you to go in there and just produce mouth shapes for various letters in the alphabet. When we say words, we don't always use the same letters with the same sound. So I think a real kind of great example of it is the one that floats around, where instead of saying I love you, you can say elephant juice, and that gives you the same mouth movements as the word I love you, or as the sentence I love you. So kind of positioning mouths in positions based on letters is incorrect. What you need to do is record yourself saying whatever it is that the character is going to be saying, and really analyze that that video of you saying it yourself, so that you can see which are the key shapes that your mouth are making, and then basically create the morph targets off those shapes. So back to what I was doing. So here, what I'm going to do is jump in and give this guy a little bit of a blink. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm just going to look at him from just above like that. I've got my clipping planes a little bit too high at the moment, so we are clipping into the character a little bit, but that's fine. This guy doesn't need the morpher on him, because obviously he's just a copy of the first one. That's why he had morpher on him. And so I'm just going to select these verts here, these ones here, and these ones, and those as well. Okay, then I'm just going to drag those down. So I'm not using the soft selection on this one. It's not really necessary. I'm just going to get to the point where these ones are touching at the bottom there, holding down Alt and deselecting those ones there, bringing down just a touch more, just so these get into the right place. Again, holding Alt, deselecting them, and then bringing down the main part of the eye, deselecting that section, and the same goes there. And I'll repeat that on the other side. So we've got these two, those, and those. And again, drop them down to the point where we're roughly in the right place. Down a little further for the ones on the left-hand side. And then we can pull all the way, drop out these guys, and drop this down just a touch more. Okay, so there's our guy with his eyes closed. So then we can move back over to our original character, original head, sorry. And then over here you can see all I've done is I've gone to my modifier list and added a morpher. Okay, and in fact I'll just delete this one and re-show you how I did it. So morpher list, drop down, scroll down, you can type in M if you want, you'll get there a little bit quicker. There's morpher. Add that to your original character head. Then you'll see within the morpher here, we've got a whole list of empty slots, and those are the slots where you're going to put in your eyebrows up, eyebrows down, eyes open, eyes closed, mouth open, mouth closed. M is a classic. You know, people tend to have to, the M and the B sound, you'll notice that your lips kind of purse together. So those positions will need to be created. So over here, I can just right click any of these empty pieces here. There are actually 100 of them. And I can right click it and choose pick from scene. And then I can choose this character here. Sorry, hold on, that didn't work. We'll go pick from scene and choose that guy there. And then you can see here it's typed in for me, open mouth. And then with my slider over here, I can push that up and down, and I can animate this guy's mouth opening and closing. Okay. Then I can right click my second empty section there, click on pick from scene, and then choose our blink. And then here, if I move the sliders up and down, we can see that we make this character, his eyes blink. Okay. So what I did want to show you just before I finish here, because I wanted this video to be nice and short, but I do want to show you the timing that you should do for animated blinks. So I'm just going to grab my slider and make it a little bigger. I want probably about 11 frames to do this. So selecting my original character, I've got the blink option selected at the moment. I'm going to choose auto key and make sure that we're on 0. So I can right click this spinner and it will make sure it stays at 0. And then I'm just going to click on the big key to put in our first keyframe. Now, the thing key to remember here is that blinks, if you watch someone blink, you only really catch the point where their eyes are kind of settling, their eyelids are settling back into their original state. So the actual downwards motion of the eyelids when they're blinking is really quick, and then the upwards motion from the eyelids coming back up to settle back in their original position is double the time. So the way I do it is frame 0, eyes are open. Frame 3, I'm going to put my eyes to close, so 100% on my option over here and blink. Then I'm going to hold it for 2 frames. So up until frame 5, I want the blink to still be blink. So I'm going to keep that at 100. And then I took 3 frames to close the eye, so I'm going to take 6 frames to open them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on frame 11. And I can right click the spinner so that the eyes are open. Now, if I just give myself a bit more time here, otherwise you're going to be consistently blinking. So if I give myself about 100 frames or so, I can select that animation there for the blink. I'll move it somewhere into the middle, and then we can see how that looks on the character as he's animated. Okay, so there's a nice little blink. The timing is roughly pretty much about right. The only thing that you would probably change here is the eyes would move slightly. So they would, as you blink, you tend to drop your eyes ever so slightly, unless if you're refocusing on something, then your eyes will definitely kind of move around whilst the lids are closed, but otherwise they don't move too much. So that should explain morph targets to you. What you will essentially have is your main head, which you can kind of put over here, and then you'll have a whole list of heads over there that are the different positions for the character's face. And then it's a case of literally going in and animating. Oops, didn't realize I had that moving. Then it's a case of going in there and actually animating the head to do its animations for you. So it can get a little bit confusing. You will need to kind of animate each of these individually. So my advice to you is do your mouth open and close section first. Do not move your head around, because once you start animating the head and having him kind of look left and look right and all that sort of stuff, it's very difficult for you to actually go in there and position or to see how the head is animating or how the mouth is animating. So do all of your open and close nice and straight, looking at the character like this to begin with. So make sure that you've got the mouth open, the mouth closed at the right times. Think about the Muppets. If you were to watch an episode of the Muppets, you notice that that they don't have mouth shapes for O's and M's and R's and things like that. They just don't have them. So all they do have is mouth open, mouth closed, and they get away with it. The Muppets is an incredible show to show you that we as humans can pick up what someone's saying just by an open mouth and a closed mouth. They don't even have the ability to blink their eyes, but the Muppets is still understood worldwide. So mouth open, mouth closed is the first thing for you to do, followed by get the blinks in there at the right times. Remember that people don't blink for no reason. They blink because there's a reason to blink. It's not just for moistening your eyeballs. And then after that, then you can start putting in the individual sound or the individual, mouth shapes that are going to be seen quite often. So if you were to say blow up, then the B for the blow up has to be there in the animation. If it's just a mouth closed to mouth open at that point, it's not as believable. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to keep this video nice and short. If you've got any questions, obviously you just let me know. Okay, all right guys, I hope that helps, and I'll speak to you soon.